All right, everybody, this is a family-friendly version of the Steve Austin Show. This is the one that's safe for the whole family. Hey, today I'm talking to you guys directly. I opened up the phone lines so I could shoot the breeze with whatever you guys had on your mind, and I took your calls and answered your questions. And I even took my alpha brain before the phone started ringing to make sure I stayed focused and razor sharp while I was talking to you. So you're going to hear your calls coming up, but first I got to tell you about the company that makes Alpha Brain. It's called Onnit. They make the best supplements on planet Earth. They also make Shroom Tech Sport, which I dig. I love to take it before I work out to get my swell on because Shroom Tech helps me go longer and recover faster, and it can do the same for you. And if you go to onnit.com/Steve right now, you'll get 10% off your order. Onnit also makes T+. Now, T+ is designed to increase strength and power and improve athletic performance. T+ is safe if you're competing. It's been certified drug-free by the Banned Substances Control Group. Another great thing about Onnit and all of their products, if they don't work the way they're supposed to, you can get all your money back, no questions asked. Money back guarantee. So go to onnit.com/Steve to get your 10% discount off all your supplements. What are you waiting for? Go now. That's onnit.com/Steve. ONNIT.com/Steve to get 10% off your order.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production. From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I'm coming to you from Agua Dulce, California, right outside of Los Angeles, where I'm doing work, filming the Broken Skull Challenge for country music television, set to come on the air here in a couple of months. And I'm having a good time hanging out here in my little camper with Hershey the Wonder Dog, where after work, basically I have turned into a complete hermit out here on a 180-acre movie ranch all by myself, staying in my camper with my dog. And me and Hershey have been kicking it. I got a couple of rotisserie chickens I've been picking off of. I got some frozen hamburger patties that my wife cooked up for me, got them in my freezer, got all my meals cooked. So basically, I work, I do my workout, I go over my notes for the next day, and I chill, and then I come in here and do my podcast, and I have no interaction with any other human beings. Except the other day, a guy from work who's renting a house right down the road from me about 5 miles. His wife came into town. He said, "Hey, man, my wife's in town. Why don't you come over and eat dinner with us?" So I said, "Well, that sounds good. Is 7 p.m. too early? Because I'm an early bird." He said 7 p.m. is fine. So me being a time fanatic, I came on in. It was close to getting time to leave. Scrubbed up, took a shower, and noticed, hey, man, I got a problem. I had been wearing tennis shoes all damn day long, and my feet were barking like dogs. They was sore as hell, and I wasn't going to wear tennis shoes over there. I need to wear a pair of flip-flops. But therein lied the problem, because my toenails looked like Edward Scissorhands' fingernails. They were so damn long and dirty, it was ridiculously embarrassing. And me, being a global icon and a national treasure with a little bit of self-respect and a little bit of an image to maintain, couldn't go to these people's house with these toenails hanging out of these flip-flops. I mean, these toenails look like they belonged on a mountain lion. So, what to do? Trim your toenails. Problem was, I didn't have any toenail clippers. Well, I was going to stop by the grocery store on the way down to their place anyway to pick up a bottle of wine, and I did. Picket Fence Pinot Noir. Picket Fence Pinot Noir, $16.99 a bottle. Pretty cheap stuff. It's really, really a good wine. So, while I was in there picking out the wine, I asked the lady the million-dollar question because I couldn't find them on my own. I said, "Do you have any toenail clippers?" She said, "Yes." I completed the transaction, went down the road. Bypassed their house, pulled over on the side of the road right there by the 14 highway, opened my door, put my vehicle in park, got out my yellow flashlight, and with my right hand, I started trimming my toenails while holding the flashlight with my left hand. I was doing a pretty good job of trimming my toenails, but every now and then I'd shine that light on that shiny silver toenail clipper and it would reflect back and damn near blind me. I could have lost my eyesight trimming my toenails on the side of the road in complete darkness. Then while I'm trimming my toenails, someone pulls up. And they said to me, hey, man, you need a hand? You got a problem? And I'm like, he was asking, if I was broke down, I needed a mechanical favor. And no, I didn't need any kind of mechanical favor. I was trimming my toenails. But what am I going to say to the dude? Yeah, man, I'm trying to trim my toenails. It'd really be a good help if you'd come over and hold this flashlight for me so I can see what I'm doing. So anyway, I told the dude, said, no, man, I got it. I'm just making a phone call. I wasn't making no phone call. I was trimming my damn toenails up. And I might say, by the time I finished, I did a pretty damn good job. Now, I didn't do a good enough job to turn professional and be a professional manicure pedicure person, but for me, being a person from the country, I think I did a pretty damn good job. But then, therein lied another problem. My fingers smell like toe jam after working on my toenails. I got all the junk out from underneath them, trimmed them up square, had them shining up pretty damn good. I can't go over to these people's house and shake their hands with hands that smell like toe jam. So, lo and behold, open the center console, got out my trusty alcohol scrub, and after 3 applications and vigorously rubbing my hands together, I was ready to go have dinner with these nice people, hand over a bottle of picket fence Pinot Noir, and show my shined-up toenails. Now, I didn't brag about the toenails, didn't even bring a story up, but in case they looked down at my flip-flops and saw those toes, I was representing the 361, the South Texas area code, in high fashion. But anyway, hey, enough about all my BS stories. This is all about you guys. Sending in your questions. Stacy and I went down to the PodcastOne studio Saturday, Sunday, whenever the hell it was last week, and took your phone calls, and I'm answering your phone calls right now after I take care of a little bit of business to make sure you're hooked up with Hulu Plus, because you can watch current episodes of all your favorite TV shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Modern Family, and Sleepy Hollow. And Hulu Plus also has every single episode of South Park and Family Guy. And Hulu Plus works on your computer, your smart TV, Apple TV, Xbox, Wii, Roku, and PlayStation, pretty much any streaming device you own. And you can stream as much as you want with Hulu Plus, no limits. So for only $7.99 a month, you can watch your favorite fall TV shows anytime, anywhere you want. And I'm going to sweeten the deal for you. Because if you listen to Steve Austin Show, you can get a free 2-week trial when you go to huluplus.com/Steve. That's huluplus.com/Steve. So make sure you go to huluplus.com/Steve so you can get the extra free week. And they know that I sent you. It helps support the Steve Austin Show and gets you a better deal. So go to huluplus.com/Steve to get your extended free trial.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
All right, we're sitting here in Culver City on a Sunday morning. I tell you what, we're taking phone calls from the fans for the Steve Austin Show. I've been out filming the Broken Skull Challenge, out there talking to myself, reading questions that you guys have sent in to questions@steveaustinshow.com. And Stacy had the bright idea that, hey, what about doing a call-in show on Sunday so we can get away from something and bank a little bit of material for you? And I said, well, that's a great idea, but I know how much you like football. Are you cool with coming down to the studio on Sunday? And she said, oh, hell yeah, she was. So that's what we're here for. And I got a guy on the end of the phone right now. We're going to kick this thing into high gear as I pop a top on a Diet Red Bull, swing a Diet Red Bull for the working man on a football Sunday. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing good. How's it going?
Man, I'm in here raising hell. I just got finished talking to the nature boy, Ric Flair. He's doing absolutely wonderful, and I'm taking your call. What you got on your mind this morning?
Well, Steve, you talked many times about regretting turning heel at WrestleMania, but one of the things you never mention is the SmackDown Before the Invasion pay-per-view when Vince said we need the old Stone Cold back, and you broke the pool stick, you went to the arena, you gave all the ECW, WCW guys the stunner, and Jim Ross, of course, the greatest announcer ever, is like, the old Stone Cold's back. Then, 2 days later at the pay-per-view, you turned heel and you joined the Alliance. Do you regret that, or do you really have any thoughts on that whole, you're good, and then you went right back to being a bad guy, even though you regretted it kind of thing?
Yeah, when I look back at some of that stuff, and I can barely remember that, but I do vividly remember the broad strokes of that. It was just, it wasn't a great idea. And again, I don't remember how on board I was with all that. And again, turning heel was my idea. It was never Vince's idea to turn me heel. But then once we went down that road, and I think, of course, Rock went on to make movies. Had Triple H gone down with that quad injury at that time?
Yes.
Okay, so then, I was kind of, between a rock and a hard place, no pun intended, so I kind of needed to stay that course. But, yeah, that was just a little bit of discombobulation within the storylines and booking and not know whether to crap or wind our watch. Again, it's my idea to turn heel, but it wasn't the greatest thing in the world. The thing that it allowed me to do, and people always get on me and said, hey, Steve, you don't give yourself enough credit when you turned heel with all the entertaining things that you did. Yeah, to that point, I was able to do a lot of things. And when I broke those 3 bones in my back, to take the creative liberty to do some comedic stuff with Kurt Angle that wasn't necessarily heat-provoking or heat-getting, but I just didn't want to be a flatline in regards to trying to be someone who was trying to get hated. I wanted to at least entertain the crowd. So anyway, it allowed me to push the envelope in different directions in regards to the Stone Cold character. And there were some great moments. But then at the end of the day, my forte was as that rugged, badass, straight-ahead, ass-whooping babyface named Stone Cold Steve Austin. And all the many great moments that I got to do as a heel, because I've always preferred working heel, my greatest times were as a babyface. So, again, if I could go back in that time capsule, I would have called the audible and gave Vince the stunner. And it's like that, Mike, that email I got last week when someone said, would I have been penalized or punished had I called an audible at WrestleMania 17 and gave Vince the stunner and said, hey, man, we got to go a different direction, or just watch the stunner is what I would have told him. Then I think we'd have been off to the races. We could have covered what happened at Mania. It could have been me, messing with his head, using him to help me get through the task at hand, which was beating The Rock. So there's many things that could have happened, but those were the things that did happen. And in regards to your question, a little bit of a cluster. How did you take it? Was it frustrating as a viewer watching because you were chomping at the bits for me to go one way or the other, or just turn back babyface?
I have never forgotten, like I said earlier, when you broke the pool stick and Vince was with you at the pool hall and he said, I don't need you to hug me, I need the old Stone Cold Steve Austin back. When you went out into that arena, it was like the magic of, and I hate whenever, because the Attitude Era was so great, it changed the world. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, but so much stuff happened before then and after that was awesome. But when you came out there and started stunning everybody, it was like pure magic. It's exactly what Jim Ross said. The old Stone Cold is back. The Rattlesnake is back. Oh, hell yeah. I mean, he was going crazy, selling it like only he can. I mean, it was pure magic. It was like being a kid again. It was crazy. Even now when I watch it, and I know you say some of that stuff is kind of a blur to you, it's worth looking up on YouTube or something. When that crowd pops, I mean, it's like the cameras are shaking, just like they did do in the Attitude Era. It was insane. For that one night on SmackDown, it was like everything was hitting on all cylinders.
Well, how old are you now?
I'm 37.
Okay, I'm just checking about the age you would have been when all that was going down. You still watching the WWE?
Still watching.
So what do you think?
It isn't the same as everybody says. It's not the same.
Okay,
but,
so break down today's system. What do you like or dislike about what's going on currently in the WWE?
What I currently don't like is and I'm not attacking Triple H and Stephanie. It's just stuff like that is such a throwback. You and Vince was magic. It was original. It hadn't happened. The crooked promoter, people in charge, owner, WCW, ECW, WWF, everybody has done that storyline. If you go to an indie show, everybody does the heel owner and the babyface champion, and tonight I'm going to stack the deck against you. That's been done so much. So when they take away from Daniel Bryan, or they take away from CM Punk, or they reverse this and that, and you can't beat the authority calls all the shots. That just gets so played out. And I mean, we're going into 15 years of that pretty much.
So then,
I mean,
but Mike,
it's a little ridiculous.
But Mike, so then is that due to a lack of depth, not lack of talent, but lack of depth on the roster that they need to create that arch rival?
I would just say it. Man, I would say the writer, Steve. And I know I'm not in the locker room, and I don't have all the answers, but Hogan was selling out everywhere he went without the crooked promoter storyline. You set the business on fire with the crooked promoter storyline. Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, look at all these guys Bob Backlund, Bruno, they all didn't have that storyline. The belts meant something, and that's what drew. And now it's just like, let's just go back to this crooked promoter storyline over and over and over. It's just, it gets old.
It's pretty obvious you've been watching wrestling for a long time. Where are you based out of?
Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk, Virginia. So that being said, man, you're right on the edge of, the old Crockett territory, NWA, WCW, and then, getting on up to WWF. So what was your favorite promotion out of all the years you've watched pro wrestling?
Well, and look, your years, of course, are cherished, so I'm not trying to insult you, but I've always told everybody, 87 to 91, WWF and NWA, it has never been like that to me, where it's not, I can't miss it. Oh, I've got to tape it if I'm not home, because, it's not like you can just hop on YouTube. I just couldn't live without it. But, Attitude Era was awesome. The initial Nitro days before the NWO was just every segment. That was awesome. And I've really been looking for that magic ever since, because I can tune in, check Raw. If I miss it, it's not a big deal. If I miss a pay-per-view, it's not a big deal. Even if a live event comes here and I don't miss it, not that much of a big deal, because I know nothing earth-shattering can happen. But I can tell you, when you were riding hot, WCW was riding hot, Norfolk Scope, you were lucky to get Nitro tickets. You were lucky to get Raw tickets. And it's just like you said on one of your podcasts, I'm not sure if it was Big Show or John Cena, where you said you went out with Cena and you looked out in the arena and you said, what are all those things? He's like, oh, some of the seats are tarped off. You're like, we didn't have those in my day. That's the God's honest truth. You can walk up the day of the show and end up with pretty good seats. It's just, it's not hot. It's not can't miss.
Well, it'll come back around. The business is cyclical. It'll come back, and they've got some great young talent coming up. When I asked you your favorite territories and time period, you said 87, 91. Man, I go back just that total mid-'80s thing where I was watching what was going on in NWA, a little bit of WWF, but still it was more regional back then. But then, did you get anything from Mid-South and Power Pro? Because Bill Watts, and then also World Class Championship Wrestling was turning out some of the greatest stuff I'd ever seen. So if I'm in my garage doing cardio and I put on something, it's usually mid-'80s NWA with a lot of tag stuff with Rock and Roll Midnight, Arn and Ole, Arn, a little bit of Tully, or Arn and or it might have been even some old stuff with Gene Ole. But those are the kind of things that I grew up watching that I think were specific to me in regards to my favorite points of the business. I enjoyed living and doing the Attitude Era, but because I was there. And don't get me wrong, there was some badass stuff that went along in that time, along with some shenanigans which weren't so great as other people have alluded to. But anyway, hey, Mike, I appreciate the phone call, man. I thank you for listening to the show.
Thank you so much, Steve. Keep doing what you're doing.
Take care of yourself, man.
Bye.
All right, Adam, you over in Jersey City. What's happening, man?
How you doing, Steve? Pleasure to be talking with you. Big fan of your career and big fan of the Unleashed and family-friendly show. I listen to it every week. Haven't missed one.
I appreciate it, man. We're just kicking it here on Sunday over at the studio. I'm drinking a Diet Red Bull. I got out of bed today and pulled a hell of a rib on my wife. I got in my driveway, and she was seeing me off, and today's one of my only days off. I'm going out tomorrow to go back to Broken Skull Challenge. And I was standing there, and my wife handed me something through the driver's side window. And have you ever done this? Hit your windshield wiper button and to wash your windows. So I sprayed my wife down in the driveway before I came down to the podcast. So she got it. Luckily, Stacy's over there laughing through the glass at me. She got a kick out of it and started laughing. She didn't start throwing rocks at me or anything. But hey, what you got for me this morning?
Well, no, I just had a couple questions. A couple questions that have always been on my mind, and I've actually said to myself if I got a chance to ask Steve these questions. So, first one is back in '97 after you had your injury at SummerSlam with Owen Hart the neck. You were on TV. I mean, you weren't wrestling, but they were still putting you on TV. And there was a Thursday Night Raw, like a special edition on a Thursday, and there was this vignette with you were at your house deep in the heart of Texas, as Jim Ross said. And, they sent the camera crew down there to get some questions about your suspension. And just the whole thing was hilarious, man. I mean, I could recite it word for word. I mean, it was just so funny, and, like, everything you said. And you really started, like, in my opinion, that's when, like, the Austin character, like, the ball started to get rolling. And it's just, like, your comedic, juices, everything came out in that vignette. And, I mean, that's when, like, I really thought things got going for Steve Austin as far as, like, the promos and, like, the funny side of them.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just would like for you to speak about that and your memories of that one.
No, man, it was at a former friend of mine's house. I just lived right down the road, but this was kind of on a hilltop. That was when I was shooting the arrows into the target, right?
World War II, Owen Hart.
Yeah, so basically, I've had a lot of emails. People asking me, said, "Hey, Steve, is that really you shooting that bow?" Yeah, that was me shooting a bow. I've got a couple of bows, and I don't hunt with it, but I'm pretty damn good with it. And we come up with that idea, and I was still trying to kind of shake off a lot of the damage that happened in the ring. I think I'd probably still going around seeing some of the doctors, and that pile driver was a hell of a damn thing. And so, we did that, and I just get a chance to, those vignettes, you forget how important they are. And today, it's like I always go back to the old Kamala video when they brought him out in USWA, and and those were filmed in Jerry Jarrett's property there in Tennessee, and some of the stuff they did with Bill Dundee and Jerry Lawler. But going back to my stuff, man, those little vignettes, and even when I was fixing to take on Bret the Hitman Hart, when we filmed that thing in an old warehouse where the German Shepherds were barking, and I'm talking about the pink and black tights, man, when you get a chance to do that and you get your personality to come out, and further solidifies, who and what this guy is. It's one thing to watch a guy do whatever he does in a ring and execute, and you must be able to execute with high precision and believability. I had that. But this was maybe, like you said, the tipping point where you got a chance to see, and to some people it was funny, and I was trying to be pretty much a jackass to those people for coming on to my property, and I said, "Don't watch it." I said, "Watch your step." I said, "If you fall down, I'll whip your ass," or words to that effect.
Yeah, you said watch yourself. It's a doozy, and if you fall, I'll beat and you just say cut it.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun, and it's those moments that when they send those crews down there, it's an expensive thing to do, and we made the most of it, and then we started that hell-raising character that Stone Cold was, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. That's probably one of my favorite vignettes. Just the way you handled this thing from the beginning to end. It was just awesome, man.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate you watching, and I appreciate you calling into the show.
No problem. Could I just ask you one more question?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I just want to ask you. All right, it was late '98. It was right after the pay-per-view. It was Rock Bottom. You had wrestled The Undertaker, and you were missing for two weeks, or maybe 3. You came back, and you helped Mankind win the title on that taped Raw. The pop that you got was unbelievable. In my opinion, biggest pop I've ever seen. I just want you to talk about how you felt. I mean, or do you remember that? And do you remember that particular pop? Because it was just, the whole place exploded when your music hit. You came out and hit The Rock with the chair, and you threw Mankind on top of him. It's so great. And then you threw your hat at Vince.
I can't remember the which pay-per-view it was.
It wasn't a pay-per-view. It was a Monday Night Raw.
Monday Night Raw.
And it was actually the Monday Night Raw where Tony Schiavone gave the results that Mick was winning the title.
Oh.
You were the one that helped them win the title. As a matter of fact, you put him on top of The Rock. You cost The Rock the match. It was a no DQ. The corporation was standing around the ring. I mean, you hadn't been seen on TV for
I
about
can't
2
remember
weeks.
why I hadn't been seen on TV either, but now that
you know what, I'll tell you what happened. The Undertaker had you were in a Buried Alive match with him at that Rock Bottom pay-per-view in December. That's what it was.
Well, I'll tell you what, then that tells you why I was gone. See, what happened before that Buried Alive match, that was that was going to be a hell of a match, but what happened for about 3 weeks before that Buried Alive match, I had some kind of stomach virus or flu or bug or what. I thought I was dying, actually, and I couldn't eat. So basically, I'd lost a hell of a lot of weight going into that match. And so I was sick when I did that, when I was going through that match. But I had to work, but I wasn't, I don't think, on the road because something was wrong with me. And so I went to the pay-per-view that night, worked the match. Then about 3 minutes into the match, I pulled a rib muscle. I don't know if you've ever pulled a rib muscle, but when you do, it's so painful to try to even take a deep breath of fresh air. It sucks. So I was sick. My gut was raw. I pulled a rib muscle, then had to work the match. And then after I won the match, I had to guzzle a couple of beers. Well, beer was the last thing that I wanted in my gut because of the way I was feeling, but I had to do it for the show. And then also what was supposed to happen, they were trying to train me, as they did many times before Monday Night Raw, whether it's driving a cement truck and learning how to break down all those grids so that the cement flowed into the Corvette or the monster truck or the monster limo or the Zamboni, anything. I can drive anything in 15 minutes or less. They wanted me to actually run the backhoe and to bury the Undertaker myself. Well, here's the thing. If you've ever been on a backhoe or if you've just ever seen one, those buckets and that whole mechanism is extremely heavy because you can pound the earth with those things and you scoop up the earth. Well, if there's a guy laying underneath a pile of dirt and you drop that bucket on him and do something wrong, you're going to kill that guy. So they were training me to use the backhoe. Now I'm sick. I don't want to be there, but I've got to work. I'm about to pull a rib muscle, and then so it turns out that I can't bury the Undertaker myself. I've got to get the guy that runs the backhoe come bury him. And then he goes out there, and I don't know if it was because he was in front of 15, 20,000 people live on pay-per-view that he froze up, but he couldn't get the task at hand done in an expedient fashion and make it look good and dramatic by putting a slow tilt on the bucket and releasing all the dirt onto the Undertaker, symbolically burying him. So I blew a gasket at that, drank 2 beers, and said, F this, and that's when I walked off to the back. So that's the backstory on what happened at the Buried Alive match.
Wow, that's interesting. Never knew that. No, I just said as far as the pop goes that you got when you came back 2 weeks. Do you remember that? I mean, do you have like?
Man, I can't remember. I got so many pops. I mean, I'm shooting with you, man. People always point specifically to certain pops, and I tell you what, one thing, you appreciate every single pop you get, and you remember every single pop you get for about the next week or so or 2 weeks, and I remember some in general, but I can't point to them specifically. And man, that's reaffirmation about where you are in regards to the roster, however you are with that crowd. It's your acceptance. It's your over. As a babyface, that says how over you are. If you have heat as a heel, it says how hot you are as a heel or where you need to go. So you always gauge those pops accordingly. And don't get me wrong, anybody would tell you when you light up a place and get one of those monster pops, it's a thrill that's about as addictive as anything I could ever imagine. If someone could harness that and sell it, they'd be a billionaire.
I'm sure, Steve. Well, it's really been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for answering my questions. I'm going to continue to listen to the show. It's great. I love it. Keep doing what you do, man.
Will do, man. Swig of water for the working man. Take care.
You take care, too, Steve. Thank you.
I got more of your phone calls coming up, but first I got 2 words for you. Free snacks. Yep, free snacks. And these snacks are better for you than the chips and candy you're getting in the vending machine. So drop the vending machine habit and get yourself some delicious, wholesome snacks at naturebox.com. NatureBox.com gives you hundreds of delicious snacks, and you won't feel guilty about eating them because they're better for you. They're natural. NatureBox also has snacks that are low in sugar. They got 0 artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners, and 0 grams trans fat. Now, I said NatureBox has hundreds of snacks, and you can check them all out at naturebox.com, but I'll mention a few so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. So when that afternoon slump hits and you need something to get you through the day, grab some honey macadamia pretzel pops, baked sweet potato fries, or some cinnamon spiced almonds. And here's how you can get them for free. My favorite, 4-letter F word, free. To start your free trial, go to naturebox.com/Austin. That's my last name, Austin. You'll get a free NatureBox filled with 5 of their most popular snacks. Stay full and snack smarter with NatureBox. And get your free trial box of delicious snacks at naturebox.com/Austin. Hey, I got a question for you. What if you could wake up every day excited to get to work? Not to a job, but to a career you love. Sounds good, don't it? Well, here's how you can do that. Become a certified personal trainer with the National Academy of Sports Medicine and start changing people's lives by helping them reach their fitness goals. Get started today at myusatrainer.com. Certified personal trainers are in huge demand, and you can earn a ton of money. You set your own hours. You can work in health clubs, sports clinics, and corporate wellness. Top certified personal trainers work with pro athletes and sports teams around the world. Earn your certification from the National Academy of Sports Medicine, and you're guaranteed a job within 60 days or your money back. Did you hear that? Money back guarantee. Visit myusatrainer.com right now and get started with your free 14-day sneak peek of the Fast and Fun online program. That's 14 free days closer to your dream job and making great money. Go to myusatrainer.com. That's myusatrainer.com, myusatrainer.com.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
All right, we want to get back to the phones right now. Hey, George, what's happening, man?
Hey, what up, Steve? This is George from Lebanon.
You talking about Lebanon, Tennessee, right?
Yeah, right.
I thought you was calling from the other Lebanon. I said, this is going to be a long-distance call. It will be very expensive on your behalf.
I'm from Beirut, the Middle East.
Are you?
Yep.
Well, talk to me. What kind of question you got?
I have a question about Triple H running the NXT.
Yes.
I want to hear your thoughts about it.
My thoughts about Triple H running, I think he has that thing in the right direction. Some of the NXT shows that I've seen are very good because they're very, I hate to use the word organic, but I like the word organic here. And they're not overproduced, and it's not lit up too bright. It's a much more intimate atmosphere. And don't get me wrong, you always want to play in 18, 20,000 seat arenas on a Monday night. But I like the way that show is produced, and I like the way it's lit, and they've got some good talent down there. So I think he's doing a fine job with it.
Oh, yeah. And what about him being in the authority with Stephanie McMahon playing the bad guy?
I've actually enjoyed him in this role, and I've always enjoyed Stephanie's promos, and she's awesome at what she does. So I just got finished talking to a listener who had kind of thought that, the authority has been a little bit overdone with respect to some of the storylines. It's kind of been an ongoing thing now for over 15 years. Hey, it is what it is. But are they good at it? Yes, they are. And sometimes,
Oh, absolutely.
when you look at the roster, and if you don't have a roster that's just full of depth and superstars that can just flat out go, then, you've got to put all the irons that you can into a fire. So I certainly don't condemn it. I see reason for it. And when I say that, I don't say that with disrespect to the talent. They have talent. It's just talent that is veteran ready and able to assume a role. Then there's not enough of that. But they're in the process of building that depth, and they will.
Oh, okay, Steve. Thanks a lot, man. I'm a big fan from Lebanon, for you, Triple H.
Hey, man, thank you very much. I appreciate you calling.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Yo, Dan, over in Chi-Town, the Windy City, Chicago, my favorite town to wrestle in, Rosemount Horizon. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How about you?
I'm sitting there drinking a Diet Red Bull in Culver City, California, on my day off, fixing to go home, pack up all my bag of tricks, my shirts, my shorts, cook some food, and head out to the Broken Skull Challenge. I'm alive, well, and kicking ass. What you got for me today?
Well, sir, I actually just got done with a severe leg day today. Just hit the gym as hard as I possibly can, and just trying to get ready for the Broken Skull Challenge myself, just to actually audition for it.
Oh, man, did you get accepted?
Unfortunately, no, I wasn't actually called, but there's always next year.
You're damn right. Hopefully the show does well and we get season 3.
I'll watch every episode. Yes, sir, absolutely. I actually only have 2 questions, not to take up too much of your time, but when you actually on the last Unleashed show did the WrestleMania 17 commentary, just seeing your seeing behind the scenes of just your mindset of what you could remember about that match with The Rock and every single thing that went into it, just very candid, very methodical, and just absolutely just off the wall entertaining. I had to listen to the podcast a second time on the network with the network playing in the background, just to actually see the action as well as actually hearing it. What I was wondering is, aside from WrestleMania 17, do you have any ideas of doing other matches like that in your career, like actually analyzing each one that was going on in your head?
Man, I don't want to make a habit of doing too many of them. I actually started trying to watch the 2 out of 3 Falls match that I had with Triple H in Las Vegas. And I started watching that, and I remember when I came back from that match, I think it was from one of my neck issues, and I was in pretty bad shape. And we started that thing off. I blew a high spot at about the 1.5, 2 minute mark, and I just turned the thing off. The thing about me is I'm so critical of good work versus bad work, whether it's myself or somebody else. I got to point it out. I started watching that match, and I said after I blew that first high spot, as I would blow up, a few times during that match, but I always weathered the storm and kept going. That was kind of my reputation. But I just wasn't happy with what I saw. If I can pick another match, I will. Certainly, I've been wanting to do WrestleMania 13, but I always wanted to do it with Bret Hart here with me. And if in a war of attrition and I need material, I will do it by myself, but I'd like to get Bret's take on it and go through it together. It was a thing here to come to the studio today while I'm filming Broken Skull Challenge. I'm very limited out there, so this is just trying to do something to involve you guys, to give me a little bit of variety. I don't have time right now just to put in the proper research to have guests on the show. That's why I've been doing what I've been doing, and that's the answer to that. Give me another question.
Well, thank you actually very much for that. Even if it's just, a one-time special or, every now and then, it's fine with me. My other question is, your brother, if I remember correctly, was in the United States Coast Guard, or he still currently is in the United States Coast Guard. God bless him for actually serving the country. I myself have actually been shot down by the military 3 times just because of being overweight. That's why I got into bodybuilding. Right now, I'm actually at the cusp of realizing my dream of actually becoming a police officer. And I know that this probably can go hand in hand, but to some people it might not. Seeing where you were back in the early days of WCW, ECW, and just getting bad work, bad pay, and all that stuff, what really drove you to just be the absolute best? Just to actually say when everyone is doubting you, when everyone is breaking you down and just wants to do nothing but actually just completely, just take a giant crap on you and just wants to let you fail. What helps you arise from that? Because I'm at the very last stage in the process of actually joining Chicago's police department.
Well, in regards to my brother, Kevin, he served United States Coast Guard for, I think close to 25 years, and actually it was mandatory retirement. They forced him to retire. He was ready to keep going on. He was based out in Kodiak, Alaska twice, and also based out of New Orleans. He left right before Katrina and then went back to Alaska. He currently resides down there in Edna, Texas, with his wife and their dog. But in answering your question about myself, man, I tell you what, it's just my parents, they taught me right from wrong, and they taught us always to do the best we can, or don't do it at all. And my dad's famous thing that he would always tell us is, God dang it, Steve, don't ever half-ass anything. That way, if you don't half-ass anything, you don't have to come back and do it again. So that was always my deal as a competitor or in anything that I tried to do to be the best at it. And when I got into pro wrestling, I knew it was what I wanted to do since I was about 8 years old. And I went to college. I was going to be a business major, and I couldn't pass a math class, so I turned into a PE major. And so, I was going to be, I guess I was just going to be a coach, high school football coach. And that's when I saw that commercial for Chris Adams Wrestling School, and I said, hey, man, this is for me. And at the time, I was working for Watkins Motor Lines, driving a forklift, loading and unloading boxes on carts, heavy manual labor, which has kind of always been my specialty in life, heavy manual labor. And so I got in the business of pro wrestling, and I just wanted nothing more to be, a pro wrestler. But then once you get in and you see, okay, there's places to go, and the only place to go is to try to be the top. And so 5-6 years in, I end up at WCW, and I have an injury to my tricep and get it reattached, and in the process get fired by Eric Bischoff because he didn't perceive me as being marketable. And when I look back at the guy that I saw in WCW with the stringy blonde hair and the multicolored tights, I wouldn't, if I had to pick that guy out of a lineup and say, hey, man, in 2 years, this is going to be the biggest superstar on planet Earth in regards to pro wrestling, I would not have picked myself. So I thought Eric was justified in firing me. But that being said, it put a chip on my shoulder, a gigantic chip on my shoulder. And when I went down to ECW and started cutting those shoot promos about, me being complacent and being fed garbage and allowing myself to become garbage, I meant that. And I truly then had a design on being the absolute best in the business and the best that I could be and go as far as I could go. And then it all happened when Vince called and offered me the job at WWF. And I'd talked to Vince twice. once at his house, once on the phone, and the time I went to his house, Bruce Pritchard was over there. And I knew that they were just bringing me in as a mechanic, and they didn't have any plans on me being a star, so I passed on those opportunities and stayed down in WCW. And so when I went back as a ringmaster, I knew that sucked, and that's when I came up with that Stone Cold idea. And to just really hammer down and answer your question is, hey, man, it's all about there's nothing fancy. It's almost cliche, but you're going to put into anything, you're going to get out of anything what you put into it. And I ate, slept, and breathed the business, and I got the divorce record to prove it. So it was just busting my ass and wanting to be the best and being hungry. And so you should attack your same goals with those same objectives. Be the best you can, and if you're able to make it on the police force, good luck to you, and rise as high in the ranks as you can. There's no secret. It's just putting your head down and doing the work. All right, Dan, thanks for the call. Got Ben in Utah. How are you, Ben?
Yes, sir. How are you, buddy?
Man, another day at the office out here in Los Angeles, California. It's bright and sunny, and it's a great day. What's happening with you?
Well, it's a little chilly out here in Utah. I actually had to leave church to make the phone call. I was following Twitter instead of listening to the speaker, and I'm like, man, I'm going to go and make that call. So hope I didn't go to hell for doing this, but I think it would be worth it.
So what's happening? What you got for me?
Well, the question I had, sir, I have so many wrestling questions, but I think the one I'm going to settle on today is I'm a personal trainer at Gold's Gym out here, and I'm a big gym guy, obviously, and what I want to know is, do you have any interesting stories, whether they be funny or it's kind of one of those oh my goodness moments where maybe you've been training with Tony Atlas or Kevin Nash or even yourself where you've just seen some pretty cool things in the gym?
Well, I don't know. Here's the most recent one happened. This little gym that I train at here in Venice, Marina del Rey, it's like a hole in the wall. There's a main section with the machines, and there's a section next to it, which is cardio. And then in between kind of the parking lot structure sets a separate building where the free weights and the power racks are at and the dumbbells that go, the dumbbells only go to 75 pounds out there, but it's a separate area. And so I always train out there because they have all the heavy weights and plates. And so I was in there, and, man, I was extremely gassy. So I was out there farting like a pack mule, and I'm not talking about average, ordinary farts. These farts would peel the paint off a vehicle. And I felt bad about it because I just knew that sooner or later someone was going to come in there and I was going to get busted. I'd been in there for about a damn hour having a damn good workout, and then finally, right when I was about to walk out, I had grabbed up my little eyeglasses, my iPhone, my billfold. I always keep my pocket knife in my pocket. I was fixing to walk out the door, and this lady walks in, and she was about 45. And when she walked in that room, her face changed from having a nice day to smelling this putrid gas that had just come out of my ass for the last hour. And without owning up to it, I just kind of looked at her and said, "Hey, how you doing? Have a good day," and walked out. And she promptly followed me out of the gym because she wasn't going to go in there because it smelled so bad. So that's the most recent gym story I have. I don't have any great stories of my strength and determination or me sitting in your bench press records. I have many stories of me farting and destroying an entire gym.
Well, if you listen to Mark Bell's podcast, those are treasured stories, so you're okay there. What were you lifting on the day? Were you doing legs or?
No, I can't remember what I was doing on the day, but last night I went in there, I did chest and tries, and I didn't even feel like going. But right now I'm out there running the Broken Skull Challenge, and those are long days, and they've got me a little setup out there. I've got a rectangular tent. It's probably about 10 by 20. I've got a power rack in there. I've got about 350 pounds of plates, and I've got my dumbbells, which go 30, 50, 70, so I'm able to get my workouts out there. And so I trained chest last night. I'll do back probably in my gym by my house where I was farting before I go back out there tonight and we start rolling cameras again on Monday. So I'm trying to keep my workouts consistent because with me, as soon as I start dropping off or if I start missing days, everything goes to hell. And, man, I've been trying to, keep my diet straight. Had a couple of beers on Friday, but still trying to put all the pieces together to get a little bit more tightness back and take Hershey on about a 2-mile walk every day.
Well, it's a constant struggle, mate. Well, thanks. I just wanted to say, big fan, obviously. When I watch wrestling, when I have some spare time, I usually end up going for matches or shows where there's been really great crowd reactions or emotional moments, and just one I watched the other night was it was on a special feature on the No Way Out DVD from 2003, and that pay-per-view you were supposed to go against Eric Bischoff. It was he signed you to keep his job match, and but the special feature, you actually made a surprise return after Raw. And if you actually get the chance, go back and watch that. And not only the pop from the crowd, but watching Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler, and Vince McMahon, and this is when they had the announce tables by the entrance, watching them, watching you, it gives you goosebumps watching it. So you've provided so many moments, and you're the greatest, man. So thank you very much for your time.
Hey, man, take care. Have a good Sunday.
All right, buddy. You too. Bye.
Hey, Randy, what's happening?
How you doing, sir?
Hey, man, you coming from Maryland. You a Baltimore Ravens fan?
I'm sitting here now watching it at halftime and hoping they can at least get that 1 point back on the board to tie the Bungles right now. But,
The old Bungles. What do you got on your mind today? What do you want to talk about?
Well, sir, I wanted to ask you, it was back after the invasion era, so I'm hoping you can kind of remember this. I know you said some things are a little sketchy and all, but it was when you and Booker T had your, I guess you could say, your supermarket brawl, how you felt about that and how much fun it was just to go in and destroy a supermarket.
Man, I think I talked about this last Tuesday, but, I found out about that storyline. I can't remember whose idea it was, but I think it was done in Fresno at the Green Frog Market, which has since closed down. And so basically, Vince and them guys, or it wasn't Vince, but they went in there and rented a supermarket, put a couple of plants in there, like the one guy that was going to, that Booker thought was me, turned out not to be me. Obviously, he was supposed to be there. He wasn't a hapless shopper that got attacked. So, hey, it was one of those things where you just basically, I walked up and down each aisle and thought what would be cool to hit Booker with, and, then he kind of walked around a little bit with me. But, I mean, we didn't sit there and say, okay, we will go here and then there. It just happened, man, and we kind of had just a little bit of a plan that 4 or 5 things that may happen, and we knew we'd end up with him like in a shopping cart or on that checkout counter, and that's all the planning that went into it, and all the stuff that I broke on him and put him through, he was really cool with, and that's why I always liked working with Booker, because he's one of the funniest guys in the business. He has a great sense of humor, and we always had good chemistry together, so we enjoyed working together, and I know he enjoyed that as much as I do, and I got to give him credit for being such a good sport to take all that.
Awesome. I remember back when you were down here in Baltimore, I think it was doing a storyline with The Undertaker, Kane, and Paul Bearer. There was a time where you and Kane showed Mr. Paul Bearer down a manhole outside the Baltimore Arena. I don't know if you remember back then, but that was a classic in my eyes. And then 5 minutes later, The Rock's out cutting a promo in the ring after the show went off there. Then all of a sudden the glass hits, and I remember I think about 18 at the time. I lost. I was like, Stone Cold. I did the pat to Jim Ross, Stone Cold, and oh man, it's just all the memories that you've given me over the years. I mean, I still have the cardboard cutout hanging in my man cave of you. That sometimes I come down with a beer in my hand, it scares the bejesus out of me because I'm like, oh my God, I forgot Stone Cold was standing right there.
Hey man, when you talk about Paul Bearer going down that manhole, here was the thing. That was a deep-ass manhole. I think they had like a little bitty pad down there for him to land on. But and he did it. But, man, when I shoved him down there, he went down head first. And Paul was a pretty heavy guy, and he willingly took that bump. But how he landed, how he didn't just kill himself, I have no idea. But that was extremely brave on his part just to take the bump to begin with. Because I'm a little claustrophobic. I don't want to climb down in a manhole, much less get shoved down or stuffed in a manhole, because he was a pretty big dude. But I miss old Paul. When I was down in Dallas, Texas, and he was Percy Pringle, and they put us together for a little bit of time, and he gave me a lot of valuable information, and he was an established heel manager back in the day, and he was always very cool to me. And when I finally made it up to the WWF, and there he was as Paul Bearer having a monster run with The Undertaker, I was always very happy for his success. And I don't know anybody on the crew that didn't like Paul Bearer. He just kind of minded his business, watched every single thing that went on, would laugh and snicker as ribs were kind of being played upon guys. And he just sat back and watched and did his thing. But he was one of the nicest guys I met during my time in the business. So I miss old Paul Bearer. And I, to this day, don't know how he safely landed down that manhole. I appreciate you calling, man.
Thank you, sir. You have a good one.
Take care. Be careful when you see that damn Stone Cold cardboard cutout with that beer. He might just jump up and stun your ass.
Oh, I could cross it off my bucket list.
All right, dude. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. All right, got to take care of my sponsor before we get to more of your phone calls, and that includes DraftKings. And if your season-long fantasy football team is still struggling, then you really need to hit up DraftKings.com. DraftKings.com awards instant cash every week, and that's why it's America's favorite one-week fantasy football site. At DraftKings.com, you're never stuck with the same players. You can stack your lineup every single week. Then just sit back and wait for that instant cash to roll on in. And if you go to DraftKings.com, you can get free entry into the $100,000 fantasy football contest this weekend, where first place takes home $10,000. All you got to do is go to DraftKings.com right now and enter the promo code Steve to play for free. That's Steve at DraftKings.com. You know that Diamond Dallas Page is a close personal friend of mine, and that's why he's offering all you Steve Austin Show listeners a special deal on his DDP Yoga. DDP Yoga helps build strength and flexibility, and it's a great workout choice for people of all ages and skill levels. And right now, DDP is giving all of you an incredible deal on the Max Pack. All you have to do is go to ddpyoga.com/Austin. So here's what you get when you order the Max Pack. You get 15 workouts. You get a nutrition guide. You get recipes. You get a grid chart to track your workouts. And you get a poster to help you remember the 12 core positions that make up DDP Yoga. Join the thousands, including Chris Jericho, Jake the Snake Roberts, RVD, and Scott Hall, who are already enjoying the life-changing benefits of DDP Yoga. Take advantage of this special deal. Go to ddpyoga.com/Austin. That's ddpyoga.com/Austin. Do not wait. This offer is only available for a limited time. ddpyoga.com/Austin. Earl, what's happening?
Hey, what's happening, Rattlesnake?
Oh, man, you calling from Green Bay?
And I am.
How about them Packers? They going to be able to keep pulling it off, get the playoffs?
To be honest with you, I don't care because I'm a Cowboy fan.
Man, I'm digging the Cowboys this year, too. And I love what DeMarco Murray's doing. I love what the offense is doing. Hopefully, Tony Romo stays the course and keeps playing like a superstar. Their defense has stepped up. They're playing good ball. Hopefully, they got all their ducks in a row, and we'll see how far they go.
Me too, man. All right, so I got two questions for you today. I got a wrestling question and a non-related wrestling question.
All right.
Okay, your wrestling question is, I'm going to take you back to Bad Blood 2003. So wondering if maybe you can give us some insider behind the scenes on your famous redneck triathlon challenge against Eric Bischoff. And my non-related question is, going back when you were just knee-high to a grasshopper, do you have any famous like favorite cartoons or TV shows that you had to watch when you got home or something you watched every week?
Well, first of all, the Bad Blood thing with Eric Bischoff, man, I can barely remember even the events that transpired in kind of like the redneck triathlon or whatever we did. So I can say this about Eric. I loved working with Eric Bischoff. Me and him had great chemistry. I loved doing the co-GM manager thing with Eric back in the day when it lasted. But with specifically that match, I really don't remember too much about it. But you're talking about the cartoons that I grew up watching? Man, back in the day, Speed Racer. Speed Racer was one of the greatest cartoons ever invented, ever created. Now, when they remade it into a movie, they totally botched it up. I mean, how do you screw up Speed Racer? Speed Racer, Pops, Trixie, Racer X, Spritle, Chim Chim. That was one of the greatest cartoons of my life. And, of course, it wasn't a cartoon, but back then, the Three Stooges. Every single morning before school, me and my brothers be watching the Three Stooges, and we'd get in that last episode where my mom said, hey, y'all got to haul ass and either get on that bus or ride our bicycles to school, whatever it was. So Three Stooges, Speed Racer, and then for some reason, H.R. Puffin stuff ended up on the damn television a few times, and I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the theme song for H.R. Puffin stuff, but we watched a little bit of that. At my last one is my go-to, Land of the Lost, with Will and Holly running from the slee stacks. I forgot how they ended up, where they ended up, but they were always trying to get out, but they were stuck there with their dad. And so those were the things that I grew up watching back in the day that I still remember to this day.
All right, Steve. Appreciate you taking my phone call. Thanks for taking time in your busy schedule to do this podcast. I enjoy them thoroughly. I listen to them when I work. Got them on my headphones. I want to say thank you for all the great wrestling memories, and you take care.
Go Cowboys. Swig a beer for the working man. Take care, man.
Thank you very much.
What's happening, Alan? How are you?
Good, Steve. How are you today?
Outstanding.
Listener since day one of the podcast. You're doing an awesome job, and goodness gracious, how often do you hear, hey, that's a great question?
Yeah.
You guys, man, you, Jericho, and JR, man, I got to hand it all three of you guys. You really do your homework. You kind of transitioned into this medium better than I think anybody could have expected or anybody thought you would. So kudos, man.
Thank you, man. I enjoy doing it. It's a creative outlet, and right now I've been doing back-to-back shows. I filmed Redneck Island, went right into production on Broken Skull Challenge. So, you know, trying to sandwich this in between and coming up with quality stuff for you guys to listen to. I keep getting people asking, hey, when are you going to have guests back on the show? And it's like, man, I want to have guests back on the show, but I've got to have the time to do the research and the time to sit down and talk with them. So the show is what it is, and it continues to evolve, and it's an extension of my personality. So what you end up getting is who I am. So I appreciate you listening to the show.
Oh, absolutely. You're welcome.
What kind of question you got for me?
Well, I got a couple. One, you mentioned many times that the Rosemont Horizon, now the Allstate Arena, is your favorite venue. I live in the greater Chicagoland area. You reflect back to the days where you were in college going to see the Binerics. Well, that's what you and that generation was for me. That was my college years, and I was there for WrestleMania 13. I was there, every house show, every pay-per-view during that era. If WWE was in town, I was in the building. Why is the Rosemont Horizon yours and seemingly many others' favorite venue?
Well, I think it starts with the people. Chicago's a rowdy town. It's a great sports town, so there's a lot of great folks there who like live action. And then specifically about the Rosemount, it's I think the ceiling, whether it's the wood beams up there or whatever it is, it's just a structure. There's many buildings. Many are the same shape and size. But the material up there, for some reason, bounces that sound. The acoustics there are like no other. Sometimes if you went over to the Toronto Sky Dome, which is obviously a much bigger dome, that ceiling was so high, and I believe it's retractable, but even with that dome closed, sometimes the building is so big, you lose the sound. When we were at Detroit and Ford Field, when it was the hair versus hair thing versus Trump versus McMahon, we didn't have speakers there on the apron of the ring to reflect the sound. We couldn't hear anything. The people were popping pretty good, but we thought the guys that were doing the work were stinking the joint out because we couldn't hear anything. You rely as a performer on the sound that crowd gives you. That's how you form that's how you make your decisions to what you do next. Now, that Rosemount Horizon, you did some instant feedback, and that wood structure just reflected that sound. So I'm deaf, but when you put me in a building in front of 20,000 people, I can hear every single one of them, in particular in the Rosemount Horizon. And if I got that one asshole up there in row 100 and he's booing me, amongst all those cheers, I can hear his ass. So it was, you hit the gas pedal, you get a response. That's why I like the Rosemount Horizon. It's the people and the way the building, and the way it's the people and the way they constructed that building, which makes it such an exciting arena.
Awesome. Well, thank you for all the memories that you gave me and all my buddies during that era.
Hey, man, it was a good time. I remember when I first started kind of running roughshod in Chicago, I was still as a heel, but starting to being received as a babyface. And so Chicago was a very telling town for me. And then, when I say I own Chicago, is because the people embraced me and they took me in. And, Stone Cold turned out to be their kind of guy. And I love Chicago. It seems like it's a hard-working blue-collar town. They love their sports, and they really accepted me there. So I've always appreciated that about that city.
Indeed. Second question. I'm a career professional. Like I said, I followed pro wrestling pretty much since I can remember watching television. I shared a Lazy Boy with my grandfather, and Hogan was on the AWA back in the day. Kind of always thought I would get into it, and life took over, went and did the college path, kind of made that my plan A instead of plan B, and life worked out, My daughters, I'm trying to teach them and raise them up right, and teach them how to pursue their dreams, and having, some pretty successful run at that, just kind of planting that seed that you can do anything you want to do. And my older girl asked me, well, what did you want to do, Daddy? And I said, well, I always wanted to be a pro wrestler. She said, well, why didn't you? I said, well, that's a damn good question. How would somebody in my position, and, honestly, my performing days are about up. I do train MMA to keep myself in some sort of shape. And, we do have guys that fight out of my academy. I've always joked that if I stepped into the cage, it would be with the black gloves on, and I would be starting and finishing the fight as a referee. How would somebody in my position break through knowing that I got a short window if I were to be a performer? More than likely would be a referee or manager, but I feel like I've got a good mind for the business and have a plethora of ideas. Now, everybody plays fantasy booker. I get it. But, to kind of have pro wrestling be my plan B, and with the knowledge that I can't go and train, with Lance Storm. I know Rollins has a new development center over in Davenport, Iowa. That's more feasible. But, I got a mortgage. I got 2 kids. I can't give up on that to go chase my dream. How would somebody as a career professional break through to the WWE as just to pitch an idea to see, hey, am I even on the right track here of what you all are looking for?
Well, Alan, how old are you?
I'm 39 years old, Steve.
I can almost guarantee the window is closed. Now, yeah. I'm not here to slam a door, in any hopes or dreams you have. I'm being totally realistic with you.
Absolutely.
As a in-ring performer, since you've never performed, you've rolled into martial arts and stuff like that, but it doesn't convey to anything regarding pro wrestling. And on the referee end, they're looking to invest their time, their money, and they're looking to invest their time and money and effort into training younger people so that investment pays off, and that they're not there for just a few years. They look good for TV. They can withstand all the travel and the BS that goes with the schedule. So I'd say it'd be really, really hard for you to break in any regards with WWE. Now, could you do it at a local level? Absolutely. And again, when you look at what Diamond Dallas Page did, at the age of 35, ended up being a 3-time world champion, starting from scratch. He started as a manager, but had a little bit of heads up about the business. But he wasn't married. Well, I think he was married at the time, but he didn't have any kids. And he basically committed his entire life to learning the business, being in the ring at that whatever the training facility was in WCW down at the time, but was there every single day. So I would say it would be next to impossible to do anything with WWF. And in regards to pitching ideas, they have so many people pitching ideas these days. I think they probably have a staff of anywhere from 15 to 30 writers. I can't put the exact number on it, but they have so many people that are writing them ideas, giving them ideas with resumes, along with the talent at hand and all the agents that they have pitching ideas that have been in the business anywhere from 10 to 25 years. To get an outsider's opinion to come in there and actually hold water or carry merit is going to be a hard task to accomplish.
Yeah, that's a hard sell. And, I've tried that route. I'm a project manager. It's my day job. And I've scoured their job board and applied when appropriate and, dropped a couple hints that, hey, I got some ideas to pitch here. But no, I appreciate your candor. I know Chal Sonnen, they reached out to him when he got in his trouble and said, yeah, just so you know, we're not interested. So if they're not interested in a cat like him, I know it's a snowball's chance in hell for a cat like me. But, no, man, I appreciate your candor, and thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, don't not here to shoot down your dreams and stuff. But if you ask me a question, I'm gonna shoot straight with you and give you the honest answer.
No, and that's exactly why I asked you. Actually, I listened to the DDP, the most recent one you did with him this morning, and that still inspires me. His story, I know it ain't over, and where there's a will, there's a way. So
yes,
no,
sir.
You didn't slam a door. You didn't slam a door on anything. I appreciate your realistic point of view, sir.
All right, Alan, I appreciate you calling.
All right, you have a great day. Thank you.
Take care, man. Bye-bye. Hello, Aaron. How are you?
I'm good, Steve. How are you?
I'm having a great day out here in sunny Southern California. You're over in Michigan. Is it starting to get cold yet?
Yeah, it's actually really nice. I'm at my sister's baby shower, so I'm like hanging out outside with a bunch of ladies.
Okay, well then let me ask you a question. I recently went to a baby shower. I was in Hartwell, Georgia, and I had a few drinks with the girls that were having a baby shower. You tell me, what is the baby shower for? You're not there to give the baby a shower, are you?
Honestly, it's just to get a bunch of free stuff. My sister got, I think literally 100 different things today, like baby clothes and diapers and wipes and all kinds of stuff. It really is just to get free stuff.
See, you cut right through the chase. I appreciate that answer. And yeah, it's all about the free stuff, and it's to help a sister out. I mean, because it is expensive. It is expensive gathering all these things up to prepare them for the things that are coming for them with their the lucky arrival. Well, you got a question for me, don't you?
Yes, I do. I was wondering if you knew what you knew today about the kind of damage that can come from concussions and from some of those big bumps that you took and the hits with the steel chair. Would you still be willing to do that kind of stuff today, or what kind of changes would you have made in that kind of preparation, knowing that it can be very dangerous and there are a lot of real world consequences to that?
Well, Aaron, speaking specifically about myself, I wouldn't have changed anything because I never was a guy who took a steel chair to the head without putting my hands up. So I absorbed most of the blow with my palms. Now there's just a frog's hair worth of contact going on. So I'd take a little bit of the blow, but I was a hands up guy. Some of the other guys that I've seen that were taking them full force, just full blunt, chair to the cranium. Now, that's not me going back. That's me looking at them thinking, I remember when The Rock was wrestling Mankind or Mick Foley, whatever, had his hands handcuffed behind his back, and he took 7-8 chair shots, vicious chair shots from The Rock.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was hard to watch, wasn't it?
Yes, it was very hard to watch.
It was hard for me to watch, and I'd been in the business for I don't know how many years. So, I wouldn't have to change any of my chair shots because I took those fine. With regards to bumps, I didn't do anything so stupid or crazy. I was a good, quick, snap back, flat back bumper. So I didn't really hurt myself in that regard either. Now the tombstone pile driver, I think, concussed me and gave me some permanent nerve damage. But that was kind of a one-off, and I never took a pile driver after that. So me speaking specifically for myself, I wouldn't have had to change anything. But when I look back at some of the things that people took, yeah, man, there's some badass stuff out there that really didn't need to happen. But hey, there goes the evolution of science and finding out now. And what only a few years ago with the NFL really leading the front there of what happens when the brain is subjected to so much trauma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes me nervous to watch some of that, especially The Rock and the fight with Mankind, because, knowing what we know now, it's hard to look back at that and think, oh, man, you really took some damage doing this. But it's good to know that wasn't true for everybody and that there was a lot of safety being done, too. So that's really nice to know.
Well, I always joke all the time. I mean, because sometimes I do forget things, and I always say, oh, yeah, too many steel chairs to the head. And I really kind of say that I'm joking, but I kind of mean it a little bit. I probably took a few.
Yeah.
Just being on the road that long and doing the things that I was doing, living fast, probably contributes more to that I think short-term type memory loss than anything else. And I don't have any issues, problems, or anything regarding kind of health problems. So when I say that, I kind of say that tongue-in-cheek.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much. I should probably go back to my baby shower. But thank you so much for taking my call. It was wonderful to talk to you.
Aaron, I appreciate you calling in, and y'all have a good time at the baby shower.
Thank you so much. Bye.
All righty. Bye-bye. All right, Ari, what's happening over in West Virginia?
Oh, not much. Just talking to you. My question was, what's your opinion on Dutch Mantell?
Well, how do you know Dutch Mantell? Do you watch him on television? Is Uncle Zeb?
Well, I watch a lot of Memphis stuff.
Well, how do you watch a lot of Memphis stuff? Because you're a pretty young guy, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm 14. I watch it on YouTube. And.
So did you like that era of professional wrestling?
Yeah.
Well, I did too. And when you asked me my opinion of Dutch Mantell, right?
Yeah.
He's a very, very smart guy. And I remember when I first showed up down there, he was booking the territory. And I walked over to him, and I said, hey, I'm Steve Williams. I'm starting today. Well, Dutch didn't even know that I was supposed to start that day because Jerry Jarrett, who owned the territory, did not tell him. Turns out, long story short, Dutch Mantell and myself became travel partners. So I rode many, many miles through that territory, and that was a weekly territory. We went to the same towns over and over again. And on those trips, before the matches and after the matches, we talked about nothing but professional wrestling. And that guy gave me so much knowledge and helped me with my in-ring development, my techniques, my mechanic ability, and my psychology. He was very instrumental in my career, and that's the best I can say it. He's very, very giving with his information, and he's a very, very smart guy. He was a great promo guy and a great worker. So I was very fortunate to be able to spend those miles up and down the road with Dutch Mantell.
Cool. Thank you for your time.
Hey, you got it. All right, keep looking on YouTube. There's some good stuff out there. And if you're watching some of that old USWA stuff, check out some of the stuff from Mid-South and Power Pro from Bill Watts' territory, because that's when Jim Ross was really getting cranked up. And Michael P.S. Hayes does a little commentary with him as well. But Watts had that territory on fire. And if you like Memphis, I think you'll love some of the stuff from Mid-South. So check that out as well.
All right, cool. Thank you.
You got it. All right, buddy, time for my match of the week, and it's on the WWE Network for just $9.99 a month. Although this is not just a match of the week, it's a pay-per-view of the week, actually, because I give you the bonus plan to check out some of the work style from 1985. I got on the network, typed in pay-per-views, went down to WCW, put in Starrcade 1985. Now, on the card, you're going to have Nature Boy Ric Flair taking on Dusty Rhodes for the NWA World Heavyweight title. Then you're going to have Magnum TA versus Tully Blanchard for the U.S. title in a hellacious damn match between those two guys. And, man, I tell you what, that Magnum TA was really, really hot back in the day. Who knows what he could have done with his career had he not had that terrible car crash way back in the day. But it's a great match and showed the fire and the believability of TA. Also, you got the Rock and Roll Express, one of my favorite tag teams of all time, going against the Koloffs, another great tag team. You know, Ivan Koloff was such a damn hellacious worker. And so, anyway, anytime you put those guys in the ring, it's going to be good. But watch the work style back then. Watch how seasoned these guys were, and just kind of dig the work that's going on in this pay-per-view. Great crowd on hand. That's my match of the week. I've got all kinds of things going on out here at the Broken Skull Challenge. I want to thank you for hitting the download button twice a week. It's a family-friendly show today. It's off the rails on Thursday. If you like the shows, tell a couple of your friends about them. And if you subscribe to iTunes, you'll never miss an episode. And, man, it takes money to keep the show going, to pay for all the production costs. So thank you for shopping on Amazon through my links. If you do some shopping on Amazon, they'll kick back a few bucks, which doesn't cost you a damn thing, and it helps pay my production costs. And I'm not telling you to buy anything extra, but just when you do, if you click on those links, it helps support the cause and helps keep these shows on the air for you to listen for free. And you can find all my Amazon links, Amazon USA, UK, and Canada at PodcastOne.com. Just click on the Keep Our Podcast Free banner at the top of the page, then hit the Steve Austin Show button. It ain't going to cost you nothing extra, no hidden fees. You ain't going to buy nothing special. PodcastOne.com. Keep Our Podcast Free banner, Steve Austin Show. Just bookmark the thing so you can get there in one click. Folks, until next time, I am Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
All of your favorite shows are back with new episodes, and there's tons of new stuff to watch too, and that's why you need Hulu Plus. Hulu Plus has all the current season episodes of shows like Sleepy Hollow, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and Modern Family. And Hulu Plus also has every single episode of South Park and Family Guy. Hulu Plus works on your computer, your smart TV, Apple TV, Xbox, Wii, Roku, and PlayStation. Pretty much any streaming device you own. And you can stream as much as you want with Hulu Plus. No limits. So, for only $7.99 per month, you can watch your favorite fall TV shows anytime, anywhere you want. And I'm going to sweeten the deal for you. Because you listen to The Steve Austin Show, you can get a free 2-week trial when you go to huluplus.com/Steve. That's huluplus.com/Steve. So make sure you go to huluplus.com/Steve so you get the extra free week and they know that I sent you. It helps support the Steve Austin Show and gets you a better deal. So go to huluplus.com/Steve to get your extended free trial.